Today's episode of the BS Podcast is brought to you by who else? SeatGeek, our presenting sponsor and favorite app for buying and selling tickets for sports and music. Go to SeatGeek.com/BS to start using SeatGeek, our buddies. Don't forget to download the free SeatGeek app and a promo code BS. SeatGeek sends you $20 on your first purchase. Today's podcast is also brought to you by another one of our buddies, MeUndies.com, home of the world's most comfortable underwear. It's 2 times softer than cotton. I threw my old underwear out. It's gone. I'm a MeUndies man. MeUndies has dozens of styles and limited edition original prints. Save up to $8 per pair with a subscription, shipping free, U.S. and Canada. MeUndies.com/BS, 20% off your first order. And finally, today's podcast is brought to you by my new website, The Ringer. Subscribe to our newsletter at theringer.com. We put out 4 this week. We are taking care of you, America. And we're off.
Yeah. Clear enough for you? All right. Yeah.
Well, this podcast was a long time coming.
Can you see me?
Jay Glazer, a man of many hats,
Y'all ready for me?
a man of many vocations. You touch a lot of lives.
Wasn't
You break
until
stuff, you do MMA, you have a gym, you're training people, then you're on Sundays. I can't keep track with you.
Then it really wasn't until you offered me my $500,000 to come on here that I finally relented. And
Under the table.
yeah, that's exactly right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. Long time, buddy. I like it.
I know.
I like the digs here. This is nice.
Yeah,
Reminds me about my early days when I got kicked out of my first 3 colleges. This is nice. I like it.
Our studio is not built yet.
What people at home don't know that.
We have the air conditioner
No,
sticking
this
out of the
place is
window.
great.
Oh, thanks.
I think I just saw Diddy walk past with like 4 dancing girls, and then Usher was over here. Was that Bieber that he was over there with in your private basketball court?
It was Bieber, Jackson,
It was
Diddy,
unbelievable.
Diddy Jones.
His place is incredible, man. I think the farm animals is a good touch too. I like
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah, it's good.
So you showed me a picture. You just came from a place where Rob Gronkowski was, and you threw me into a loop because that's my dude. I mean, I'm
Well, Jim.
a giant Pats fan. So
Yeah.
Gronk is there.
Gronk is there.
He's getting ready for 2016. A little bitter taste in his mouth, maybe.
No doubt. And well, not only that, we have Martellus Bennett also. So the 2 of them yesterday.
You have Martellus Bennett?
We have Martellus Bennett. So when we're sitting in there, he's like, I think I'm going over to New England. I said, yeah, you got 2 other teams that are interested in you also. And he's like, well, how the hell do you know this? I'm like, well, you're supposed to be telling me this. So it's kind of back and forth. But when you saw the 2 of them together, we're standing over there in our little front desk area, and you see him over there, and you're like, how the hell is anybody going to stop these guys?
It's going to be
Like, really, it's ridiculous. And Martellus is, look, I root for these guys. I'm not the type of guy who tries to use my pen as a weapon. And people used to say, oh, he's not being objective. Yes, I am. You're not being objective if you use your pen for a weapon, right? It's just friggin' football. Who gives a, are we allowed to curse on yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Who gives a flying shit? So I don't take myself too seriously at all, clearly, right? And I root for these guys. I don't want to root for a guy. I don't want Johnny Manziel to fuck up his whole life. I don't want Martellus Bennett to. When Martellus came in, I said, hey, man, and he likes to joke around and play around and this and that, and he learned pretty quick because in our place, we really run you and lift you and build you up, and everybody runs and lifts. So if you want to be great, what could you do that nobody else does? We use mixed martial arts. We use boxing, we use MMA, and it's me and Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell, and there's nobody better to teach you how to really do well in a game of violence than this crew. And Martellus.
How long has Gronk been there?
So Martellus early on, he's
Yeah.
he's talking and yapping and talking and yapping. I'm looking at this guy. I'm going, how the hell does this guy not make more Pro Bowls? And then I realized he talks so much, but we put our hands on him so much. He's like, why you guys keep doing this to me? We're like, well, you're the only dipshit who keeps talking.
Right.
And then once he kind of got into the flow, he was all in. And it's funny because I talked to the Bears before they traded him. They said, oh my gosh, he's really doing that well. I said, he is a different guy than the guy I knew who was always screwing around, having fun. He's in now. And you're so tired in this place, you don't have that much chance to really screw around. And when you saw the 2 of them together, and Gronk was looking, oh my God, and he was sweating all over the place, Martellus, and we were doing all this real violent hand fighting stuff with him as he's attached these resistance cords. So he's running routes with resistance cords as he's trying to break my forearms. trying to get off the line. And Gronk was like, okay, I think I'm in with this. And I don't know if he called back there and said, hey, this guy's doing great or what. But you see the two of them, they're both over 6 feet tall. I mean, 6'6", sorry. Everything's tall to me. They're both over 6'6". They're both in the 270, 260, 270 range.
They're basketball.
It's ridiculous.
They're basketball, small forward, power forward.
Absolutely ridiculous. So I don't... Where the Patriots have always been smart and smarter than most, and where a lot of teams kind of get it wrong is, obviously the GM and the head coach are pretty much the same thing. But what you want to do in this league is you, as a GM, get players that fit your coach's system. Don't get players that you think are great, but your coach doesn't think is great. Get players who fit your system. Obviously, Martellus fits that system. They can go back and do what they used to do before Hernandez killed 9,000 people.
Right, and that's
allegedly.
That's what they were hoping with Scott Chandler last year, and he just didn't have it anymore. But when you have that second tight end, Brady loves starting the tight ends. Now he's going to have two beasts. I always thought Bennett was super talented. I didn't know talented. If it was Cutler's fault or whose fault it was, but he never seemed to get there.
The thing with Bennett is he's like a wide receiver. He acts like a receiver. He gets diva-ish. And we talked about it too. I am very blunt with these guys. We have this gym over here, Unbreakable Performance, with me and Brian Urlacher and Lindsey Berg, who's a 3-time captain of the U.S. Olympic women's volleyball team, that we're trying to make like the Soho House of Training right up here. It's a pretty cool thing. I
didn't get an invite. Is it
Absolutely,
because I have no muscle on my body?
Absolutely. You have a couple of them.
I have an athletic frame.
Yes, we call that.
We call that
we
skinny.
We don't have a name for that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
But at any one point, you'll have 25 NFL guys, 5 UFC fighters, but you'll have The Rock is there, and he'll be spotting the 3 hedge fund guys, and Usher will be in there with a dancer, and you'll have a bunch of women in there doing, Muay Thai or boxing in a cryo chamber. We have PRP there. We have an IV bar.
You have the cryo chamber?
Oh yeah, we are very cutting edge, but everybody's together. Whether you're my 65-year-old, Jewish boss, or my, we have women in there who are in their 60s and 70s. As long as you're successful and want to use kind of what made you successful and kind of share it with others, you're in. Pretty cool little thing.
Is that how you got into Ballers? Because of The Rock star coming to the gym?
Did you notice that I was in Ballers?
Well, I heard you're more prominently involved in the second season.
I am. I've already won, just,
This is not an HBO promo, by the way. I just heard you were in
for
this season. You actually have lines and stuff. You're a character.
I had lines in the first season, too.
No, but I mean, you're in the stories now.
I won 2 Oscars for my rendition last year.
Stop
of a great-looking Jewish reporter with a huge schwanz. I won 3 Grammys, and for this year, I think they already gave me a Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah,
there's no Grammys for acting.
There are now. That's how good I was. I was that good. Well, I got a Grammy, a couple Tonys. No, it was, and Rock
so
and
now you're in.
Yeah, I'm in a lot this year, and I know I'm good because I have like a couple fight scenes. I have a strip club scene. So
you have a strip club scene?
Oh, you're damn right. 14 hours at a strip club. I just couldn't seem to get it right that day. I had to do it over and over. And usually I'm money, but it is funny. And I think my best value to a lot of my friends like Dwayne is I make them very immature. So it's like the dude factor, right? Life is my locker room. I have fun. If you take me seriously, you're an idiot. All right. For anybody who rips me, you're a moron. Life is my locker room. Let's have some fun. And he and I just get along great.
Is The Rock more famous, just as famous, or less famous than I think he is?
More. But you know what?
That's how I feel like he's.
It's unbelievable.
I feel like he's one of the most famous people on the planet, and nobody really understands this.
He was the biggest box office star last year. He had more money than anybody. But let me tell you what he does. And this is why I love being around guys like this. And Strahan and I have been since '93, since day one, right? But we grind and we friggin' outwork the world, and we, use each other to help this and that, and people just look at you like, oh, suddenly you're successful, you got lucky. Fuck no, nobody gets lucky. We outworked everybody, and we put ourselves in the right place at the right time by outworking the world.
That's The Rock?
Dwayne does that more than anybody, and he named his company $7 Productions because when it really started on this journey, he had less than $7 in his pocket, literally.
Wow. I didn't know that.
He crapped out in the CFL. Said, okay, I guess I'm going to go try pro wrestling. And, even that, you got to try out. And he had less than $7 in his pocket. And the reason why he does so much, and we talk about all this stuff, is because he's just always afraid to go back to that. And you got to love a guy like that.
I'll tell you, I'm a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
He's the best wrestler of all time.
Is he?
Yeah, because he was great in the ring, but also his promos
Right.
and the way he could ad-lib and all the stuff you have to do that's not wrestling. He was also like the best at that, and he's just not replicable. Like you knew he was going to transcend wrestling and do something else pretty early.
When he, even if he wasn't this guy, he's the type of guy I'd want to be one of my closest friends. He is such a good human being, and he's also one of the type of guys that really pays it forward. He understands, hey, God has blessed him with this incredible life, and he's now going to bless everybody else. And he does so much that we don't know about of visiting children, and it's incredible how many lives he touches, and he's happy about it. You know, a lot of celebs, you see him, and they're just full of shit. They got their publicists making sure they're doing something. He's
carefully
not.
arranged puff
he
pieces.
He is not at all, man. Like, he really, every day to him is a happy day because where he is. It's really refreshing to be around.
Were you training with Strahan in like the 2006, 2007 range a little bit?
Were I training with him?
Yeah, were you like helping him be good at sports?
We
Because
retired.
I'm trying to decide how much to blame you for the Patriots-Giants loss.
He actually...
Because he was really good in that game.
I trained him after
so
that.
I don't like you as much as
No, I
did
trained him
2
after
minutes
that.
ago.
And let me tell you about that game.
Please don't.
Okay.
It still hurts. No,
I won't.
tell me.
Okay, I
tell
won't.
me.
No, no.
I'm just going to brace emotionally.
No.
Tell me. Tell me about one of the worst days of my life. Please.
Literally during the game, Strahan and OC and Tuck, and they were getting after Tom so much, they thought they were getting set up. And they were actually holding back. They're like, it can't be this easy. Something's wrong. Bill and them are suckering us. They're suckering us. And that's how much respect you have for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
Oh,
They're
God.
like, no, it can't be this easy. But they were beating the hell out of the O-line.
Yeah.
And they were just running free on them. And they literally were holding back thinking they're getting rope-a-doped. And they would have had a ton of sacks in that
Like
first
George
half.
Foreman in
Yeah, they
1974 or
it's
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. And it was amazing. There wasn't until like really midway through the third, Michael turned and said, you know what? Son of a bitch, I think we're really just kicking their ass. I don't
Yeah.
think we're getting set up on everything. Let's release the hounds.
I wonder if DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller had the same conversation in Denver
I think
2
they
months
knew,
ago. They probably did.
But I think they knew going into that we're going to be able to get them. Where there was so much respect for what the Patriots had done that year. You didn't have confidence you're getting a Tom. No one gets a Tom.
Yeah.
You didn't think you were going to hit Tom a lot. Even if you beat the O-line, he gets rid of the ball so fast. One thing that people don't know about your guy, Tom Brady, okay? The one thing that people don't know, and we all know how much Peyton Manning works because he lets us know. We all know how
I
much.
love that subtle dig. God,
it's
now you've won
not
me
a subtle-
back. I'm back.
We all know how hard Drew Brees works. We all know how hard some of the greats work. Tom Brady works just as hard as these guys. Being great is a sickness. You got to be sick. It's got to be 24/7, and it is. It's just that he doesn't let people in, so you don't know. He works just as hard as Peyton, just as hard as anybody else, nonstop. Every minute of every hour of the day, that dude is trying to think about, he's going to text the coach on this. He's going to text the coordinator. He's thinking about this. He's watching film. It never stops, never stops, never stops.
You've just made my case for two separate things. One is why Deflategate was so ridiculous, because he's doing so many different things. How does he have time to worry about whether the balls were 7% less than they should have been? But also, I really think he has a chance to play until he's 45. Everyone thinks I'm crazy.
No, I think he does whatever he wants to do.
I started writing about that 2 years ago. I just think with the way the rules have changed and all the different advancements that athletes have now, I don't see why he couldn't. I think it's realistic.
He trains his ass off, doesn't get hurt, doesn't take a lot of hits. The only reason he wouldn't...
Doesn't drink, doesn't do any of that stuff. Goes to bed at 8:30.
Who said he doesn't drink?
I don't think he drinks.
Yes, he does.
Maybe he has like a half
Crevassier?
a glass of Pinot Grigio on Sundays.
You're killing him right here now. Geez. I think he plays until the repetition of it gets to him. A lot of times guys retire because they're so tired of the meetings. They're so sick and tired of sitting in there. And a lot of times you're sitting there, let's say training camp, coaches are going over stuff. You've heard it 18 years in a row. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, why do we have to be in here? But you do. You have to be in there. And a lot of times guys are just like, I'm done with all that stuff. I just want my life back. However, once they leave, they're like, damn, we hate that stuff. But now we miss just being around your guys. You miss that locker room.
That's the recurring, basketball players always, I've talked to a bunch of them about that. And they say the reason they retire, two reasons. One is their body just started breaking down and it just wasn't fun to just go through it every day. But the real thing was just that the season's over You know, it's like for football player, it's like May, and you're just like, fuck, I got to get up at 6 o'clock today, and I got to do this. It's not in me anymore. I don't want to do it. Nothing's driving me anymore.
No, absolutely.
And I think Brady still has it. And I think Manning, by the way, I really think if the Rams had said, here's $15 million, be our quarterback for 1 year, I think he's playing.
Yeah, I don't
He didn't
know.
have an offer.
And he didn't have an offer, and this is where people get it wrong. It's kind of chicken or the egg. He didn't have an offer because everybody knew he was done. So it just wasn't worth it.
But nobody even tried to kick the tires on it,
because they knew he was. If all of a sudden they turned around and said,
the Super Bowl?
If all of a sudden they turned around and said, listen, we're going to play again. Okay, we're going to play for 2 more years. We're all in. Of course he's going to have offers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Look at the quarterback play this year.
Case Keenum.
How many times is Matt Castle going to get traded?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be shitting me. This is the worst that, in my opinion, the depth for quarterbacks has ever been.
It's awful.
And don't look at the numbers and go, oh, well, the numbers show that quarterback play has been up. No, it hasn't. When Brandon Weeden and Matt Castle and Case Keenum, no, it's definitely not up.
Well, and then you talk about all the advantages that QBs have now compared to 10 years ago and not having to worry about guys diving at their feet, all those things, and they're still bad.
Right.
Like, imagine
exactly.
how bad they would be if you could beat the shit out of them.
And, you know, the rules today also, you just can't spar. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all flag football for them. And all of a sudden on Sundays, they're getting their ass kicked. Right. And all of a sudden, Von Miller's coming off the blind side and just whacking. And you're like, whoa, I'm not used to this. Totally different.
What would you do to, like, I personally think football players are a little too big, a little too strong, a little too fast. And that's why a big reason why we're having these concussions. And you can try to change all the tackling techniques and all that stuff. But when you have, as you said, when you have Gronk and Martellus Bennett, who are 6'6", 270, and running a 4.6 40, going down the middle of the field with some other TJ Ward coming at them the other way, there's going to be carnage. So how would you fix it? Is there a way to fix it?
I wouldn't fix it at all. Here's my issue with all this, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about CTE and concussions and all that. And look, I'm different. I'm from the world of mixed martial arts. My job is to remove you from your consciousness.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, there's more concussions in women's soccer and hockey than there are in football, I would think. But we just don't hear about it because you hear about it in the league because it's gone really congressional and the attorneys. And here's my deal, okay? And this is the crazy part. I can't tell you how many people have come in and say, I want to get my kids into mixed martial arts. I don't want them playing a dangerous game like football. And I'm like, that makes no friggin' sense.
Yeah.
Our job in this sport is to break your limbs and knock you out. But let's give you a safer sport. It's off. But here's the biggest issue I'm having right now with the concussions and PTSD and all this stuff. Are there issues there? No doubt about it. If all the information isn't being shared, that's bad because we really need to advance it. However, okay, what's driving me crazy right now is they're telling us all the sky is falling and not giving any of us an out. So in other words, I just had a friend who played in the NFL for a long time, and he's a legendary guy, and he said, man, I just went to this place in Los Angeles. They just really tested me for all these concussions. And, I thought I had like 8 concussions. Do you know that I had 60 to 80 concussions? And I said, whoa, so what's the solution? He said, he didn't give me one. He just told me how many concussions I had. And you know what? I've noticed that the computer's getting fuzzy. Well, you can't do that to guys. You can't do it. You can't tell us, and I say us because I've been knocked out, I can't tell you how many times because I'm a crappy fighter. I'm a good coach, but a hell of a bad fighter. Don't friggin' let me know how many concussions I have and the effects if you're not going to give me a solution. Ignorance is bliss. But the other part of it is if I willingly give you, I'm going to put a football helmet on you, and I'm going to say, Dominic Sue and J.J. Watt and this guy and that guy, they could smash you in the head a million times. You could run. You're going to run into them over years and years and years. You're going to smash your head into people. If I give you a gun, say you're going to leave your family, you're going to go overseas, and you're going to go kill people you don't know. They're going to kill you, and you hope to get back. If I willingly step into a cage every day with a Chuck Liddell and a Randy Couture, and they're allowed to kick me in the face, and by the way, I'm going back in tomorrow, something's friggin' off with us going in. Okay, my issues are not because I've been knocked out 12 times.
You've accepted the risks.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is me personally. Nate Diaz said it best. Our sport institutionalizes us. I'd rather the sport kill me than I die from not doing it. And if I can't do this, I feel like I'm just going to waste away. And it makes me feel like, you know what? I'm not like the rest of the world. It's good. I'm different. I embrace my differentness. Same thing with these guys. Okay. A lot of times, if you're a soldier, you have depression, you have some issues. That's what's leading you to war, right? If you have issues, obviously I had issues that led me. It's not sane for me to go sit in a cage and get kicked in the face by people, right? It's not sane. First of all, it's not sane. Second of all, I'm Jewish, so I've really got everything against me. And there's something off about me going in.
Yeah.
You guys, any football player, same thing. It helps lead you away from certain problems. And now that we're going, oh man, this guy's suffering from depression, this guy's suffering from this. No, we had it going in for the most part. Not every single person, but a lot of us had it going in. And now we're just lumping it all in together. We have, our soldiers come back and they tell you man, you got depression, man. You have this 10% PTSD. And they're like, this is nothing. You got to see how I was before this. But they're not judging that. So that's my thing. I'm not saying it's not, but we're making it again, I know I have issues. Getting knocked out did not lead me to my issues. My issues led me to go do that sport. And there's a lot of people in that same position.
But you're not against, they've cleaned up some things that probably need to clean up, right? Like the safety, doing the extra headshot over the middle, the protect receiver.
I would love safety issues.
Yeah.
But I also, absolutely, my issue is that they don't do enough as far as, I would love for them to look at every single thing you possibly can. Okay, I would love for them to look at, hey, this guy has an idea in South Carolina. He thinks it's going to help out. Let's listen to him.
Yeah.
All right. I don't care what sporting apparel company they're with. If you have a way to help with head trauma, sure. And I also like the CTE thing. Everybody's like, oh, we have CTE, and they say, Frank Gifford suffered from CTE, and I'm going, well, sign me up for that one because he's had a hell of a life. I'll take that for him. He's had a hell of a life. So I just think everything gets lumped into the same thing now with you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing. Even like you brought up before, like Deflategate. Like everything doesn't have to be a friggin' gate. Okay, sometimes like, hey, you know what? We have an issue here. Let's correct it. Not make a huge congressional hearing or something.
Shouldn't we be more worried about what athletes put in their bodies? And I'm not just talking about PEDs, but for me, it's like the great hidden thing with the NFL. And the thing that nobody talks about or seems to care about, everyone cares about concussions. Nobody cares about all the painkillers these guys are taking to try to get through a season.
Right.
And that's just kind of washed to the side. What do we do to monitor this stuff better? Is there a way to even monitor?
No, I don't think there. And well, you're in a catch-22. You play a game of pain. They're taking away all the painkillers, and they play a game of pain. Again, you're talking to the wrong guy about this.
So you'd make everything legal. You would do like
I wouldn't make everything legal.
The SNL.
I think I would actually.
Olympics.
Yeah. No, not steroids. I'm not talking about steroids. Hell no, not that. But
did you ever see that sketch? Yeah. The guy's arms fell off.
I'm not saying that at all. There again, everything is so incredibly. Now we have you have things that are getting banned because they think, well, it could give you issues in 30 to 40 years, but we don't know right now. Well, then why do that?
Yeah.
Why do that? Right now it's helping guys, right? And if this guy right here has a torn meniscus and a high ankle sprain and a herniated disc in his neck, and he's like, oh my gosh, I got to get out there and play because he wants to play, and they're still putting him out there without a painkiller, I'd rather have the painkiller.
Let's say Peyton Manning did take PEDs when he had the 4 neck surgeries
well,
and was trying to come back. Huh?
He needs a refund because it didn't work.
Well, let's say he did. Why is that a bad thing that an athlete who's trying to make money, as long as he's not doing it during the season with
because
the games,
he's giving him an advantage over somebody else. You do have to have the same level playing field.
But do you think just in general, should we be able to use it for recovery?
I think if you can get a guy to heal, absolutely. Like stem cell over in Germany, absolutely. 1,000,000%.
I'm pro recovery.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
That's my point.
Why we're
but
so
that was my
afraid
point
of
about
it.
the painkillers and anti-inflammatories. Yeah. Help these guys recover. Help them. Don't send them out where they're like, oh, I can't use my right arm, but I'm going to go play because I can't because there's so much pain, there's so much inflammation. Don't do it. Let's get them out there where they're in as best shape as they can recovery-wise, and they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go out there, I'm going to be a sitting duck, because then you really get hurt.
MMA had a big PEDs problem for a while, and it seems like they're at least trying to make a concerted effort to clean it up. Mm-hmm. Was there a point where you were scared with that with MMA? Because there seemed like a couple years there was like, whoa.
It would piss me off when our guys would fight against somebody who was, because I'm like, well, it's bullshit.
Because you knew.
And I'm like, it's bullshit. Like, our guy's doing it right, and this guy's not, and it's bullshit. It's an unfair advantage, no doubt. And then but we also know, look, this sport is, I love our guys in that sport. I really do. And they're a bunch of characters. They're morons. But like my two closest friends, and they're obviously, are Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture, who train with me over at Unbreakable, and we are probably more sensitive in our conversations than any other dudes on the planet, because who's questioning our manhood?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys will cry over they'll cry over the Notebook in 2 seconds, because like no one's going to look at Chuck and be like, look at you. Oh, I'm sorry about that. My bad. I'll cry right along with you, Mr. Liddell. We really do. We have like the most sensitive, down-to-earth freaking conversations that you really can't have with most of your dude friends.
They always talk about UFC, somebody will get built up as a star and then they lose. And it seems to be this cycle that happens over and over again. And everybody goes, oh, this is bad for the UFC. And then another star comes up. To me, the UFC is the star.
Right. It's the brand, right.
Like a WWE, if The Rock's not there and John Cena gets hurt and they lose, all of a sudden it's like, shit, who do we have for WrestleMania? And they got to drag out Triple H and they got to bring back, Shane McMahon is now in one of the main events. UFC, it's like next man up. I don't think it ever ends.
I agree with you. And here's the thing also. Here's the difference between the UFC and boxing. I know, look, I started in boxing. My coach's name was John Davenport. May he rest happily in peace. Love this man with all my heart. But the difference is, in boxing, your job is to pad your record as much as you can to get some marketability. And then half these guys want to try and make sure that they retire undefeated. That's not what makes you great. What makes you great is to look for a loss, to look for that guy to beat you, and then figure out how you can get better than to beat him. That's why the Leonards and the Haglers and the Hearns were so freaking great, and why Ali was so friggin' great.
Fight anybody.
Beat me out, right. And in this sport, Randy Couture finished with a record of like 18-12 or whatever it is. Don't make him a loser, right? He's not going to pay. He's going to say, okay, I get to fight Brock Lesnar with a torn elbow, and he outweighs me by 80 pounds. Shit, I'm up. Sign me up. Little BJ Penn fought at 205 once, right? A little 155 pounder. He's like, great, I'm in. That's what you want. That, in my opinion, that's what makes these guys different. You just saw Conor McGregor. I know everybody killed him for it, but he moved up 2 weight classes. Good for him. He's like, shit, I'll fight a heavier guy. Beats me, which you did. I love the sport because you take that ego part out of it. Retiring undefeated doesn't make you great in that sport, right? Finding that guy who could beat you so your martial art can get better, and then come back and beating him, then you find out who the fuck you are.
When did you feel like the whole human cockfighting narrative had officially gone away?
When you were able to tell people what you did and they didn't laugh at you.
So what year was that?
Like last month. No. I only had a couple fights. It was 2003 and 2002, 3, 4.
Wait a second. You actually...
Yeah.
In UFC?
No, minor leagues.
Oh, really?
Minor leagues, yeah.
You have real fights.
Yeah. And what happened was, my first day on the job at Fox, David Hill, I came in all beat up. I won this thing called the Naga World Submission Fighting Championships. And I came in there, David Hill's our boss at Fox NFL Sunday, and he comes in and my eye is shut, my nose is all over here, my foot's broke, and because he's heavyweights, and the next, they fell into me on some other stuff. So I come in and David Hill's like, the fuck happened to you? And I said, hey, I just won the World Submission Fighting Championship.
Yeah.
He says, and he's Australian. He just did the Oscar. He goes, I don't know what the fuck that is, but you'll never fucking do it again. And I was like, why? I'm clearly not on TV for my looks. And then I realized, I'm on TV for my looks.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, that's what he meant.
But his thing was like, I can't have the family in Nebraska who wants to know why our insider's eye is shut and his nose is broken and all this. And I said, why? I think it adds to like the dude factor. He's like, no. So for years, they wouldn't let me do it. I had to learn how to do something else, and I learned how to start coaching. And I actually took a fight. You love this. I took a fight on an Indian reservation in Arizona because they don't exactly check records and blood tests and all. And this is how I found out. I was taking a fight right after I was told by Fox, you can never do this again. So I'm like, all right, I'll use a fake name. I'll do my stuff, whatever. And I just signed with them, but I couldn't stop. And it was on an undercard. The headliner was Tommy Morrison making his MMA debut.
Oh, wow.
So, and then Dan Severn was on the card, who's a legend. I'm like, okay. They said, wait, Tommy Morrison. I said to the guys, doesn't he have AIDS? And they said, no. It's gone now. I said, it's gone now? What do you mean, like rub some Vicks on it? It's gone? Like, how is it gone? I said, no, he says it's gone now. I said, well, wait, did I miss something here? He says, no. He says he doesn't have it. I said, well, how do I know my guy doesn't have AIDS? And they said, you don't. But don't worry about it. He won't. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Oh,
and they're
my
like,
God.
yes. I'm like, yeah, I don't think. Actually, my dumb ass was still going to take a fight on there. Luckily, I tore my calf, thank God. And that was it, the end of my fighting career. That was 2004, I think.
Jesus.
And, yeah, it was like the wild. Man, I love it. I really, I'm happy I got in. Again, I wish I had more fights. That David Hill didn't do that, but I got to train guys, and I've trained 300-something guys in the NFL now.
It's almost like you're two people. Actually, it's almost like you're three people.
I got like 10 personalities. Trust me. If you knew
Yeah,
what was
you
going on
kinda do,
inside this
though.
head over here, yeah.
But the whole insider thing, and you took
By
shit.
the way, this whole entire segment is sponsored by Zoloft. Go ahead.
Well, you took shit early on with the insider stuff because they're like, oh, he's too close with the
Right.
players. He's
Yeah.
in the. And people are basically trying to put down the fact
Yeah.
that you were able to get information in an unconventional way.
But I
It's
got
the-
it before I trained guys, and here's the thing I
Right.
told them too. I said, all you guys who are ragging on me, and I still have the same old guys do it. The same guys. I'm not even going to say who they are here.
You
They
weren't a
said- I know
newspaper
exactly who they are.
reporter.
I was, though. I was a columnist of the New York Post. So fuck them too on
Yeah.
that, okay? So what my point was, all you guys who are criticizing, why don't you criticize the guys who write books with their players and coaches and they make six figures off it? I've never made a dime off this stuff. Off of now this gym I have over here, I hope it's huge, but it's not players. We have everybody, but I've never made a dime off it. But you guys make six figures off of writing books with this coach and that player and this coach and that player. Yeah, you're objective. Fuck that. And
See, that's a big thing for me because like I remember I went on the draft for ESPN in 2014. I'm a Boston fan. I'll
Right.
admit it. Like I love the Celtics, and they got this guy at number 17, James Young, that I really wanted them to get. And they cut to me, and I was doing a fist pump, and then everybody's like, "Oh, he's not objective. He shouldn't be doing the draft." I'm like, you realize that nobody's totally objective, right? Who's in the sports media? Everybody's got biases. Everybody's got
And they use it
coaches
the
they
wrong
figure
way.
and athletes. And I mean, you even saw with I know you probably can't talk about this, but with CBS, the way Sims and Nance were announcing Peyton Manning, like it was still Peyton Manning, and just kind of overlooking the ducks that were just levitating in midair. And it's like everybody protects everybody, and that's the way it is.
But here's the bottom line too. Again, for all those people who used to rip on me or rip on you, it's just fucking sports. Give me a break, okay?
Yeah,
We're not covering the
seriously.
Middle East. We're not here saving lives. We're not really. I mean, all we are is escapism. That is it, man. Thank you, God, that we have this ability to make money and have fun and not grow up. That's all we are. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. And you know, when I first started in this business, I was a newspaper columnist, and they would say to me back then, "Well, that's," and I would try and do everything because I was broke and poor, and it was
Yeah.
awful. And the New York Post paid me a whopping $9,000 a year. Eventually, like, hey, thanks.
Congratulations.
I know, and which covered like 4 days of beer for me. And then
You got Murdoch back eventually. With
Eventually.
some salary negotiation.
And I started trying to do radio and TV, and the other newspaper guys were like, "No, we don't do that." I'm like, "No, who's we?" They said, "We don't do that." You
How are
only
we
do
all
this.
on the
Yeah, I'm
same
like,
team?
You motherfuckers aren't on my team. I care. I'm my team. Whatever rules you play by, you're not paying for my kid.
Yeah.
So I started doing it, and they would get so upset about it. Now everybody does it, but you know, I was the first one really to do the daily insider stuff. It was really me versus Mort back then, and I was at like CBSSportsline.com, and he was doing ESPN, and we did that, and people frowned upon the internet. You're not supposed to be doing the internet. I'm sick and tired of people telling me what I can and can't do. All I know is you look at my track record and look at everybody else's. I'll put mine up. I'm good. I break bigger stories that you know are dead on.
Well,
Anybody else?
I always loved you because you would get mad at ESPN when they stole your
Yeah.
scoops. Well, that they didn't steal them; they would just
They would just take credit.
re-report the scoop
Yes.
10 minutes later.
That's why I
but
changed my
not
name
say
to
that.
Sources.
Yeah,
Yes.
sources say
Yes.
it or whatever. That must drive.
And it- you know what
I
it
can't
turned
even
out, though?
imagine how crazy that made you.
Here's what I found out over the years, though. All the years I was getting mad, they were right. My mom is quite the harlot, and she actually was cheating on my dad with a guy named Sources, and they hitched the wagon, and my name is Sources now. This whole time, I thought she was playing canasta with the other
Sources
78-year-old
Glazer.
Jews.
That should
and
be
she
your
was just
nickname.
whoring it around. Thanks, Mom. But Mom has a gambling problem, too, so I can't blame her for whoring it out. But and the first time it happened, look, I'm going to reveal something to you that I never have
Great.
said anywhere.
That makes me so happy.
Okay. All the times I've gotten mad at ESPN, and I have it out, and I go after them. I call them lying, cheating, stealing bastards, and all that. In all seriousness, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I don't either.
I really don't. But it's a good fight. It's a good bet. It's a good brand. I'm like, you know what? People like a fight. They like this David and Goliath. Hell, I don't care. Okay, I'm swinging away. And what can I do to piss him off? And then, you know, it's funny because I talked to Mort years ago about this. I said, hey, dude, step away from this because I'm about to go off on these guys. And he's like, why? I said, no, nothing you did. It's just, I think people are starting to like this shit. And people, we really...
Pro wrestling.
And I started saying, back then, I'm like, all right, you want to rag on me, ESPN? Let's put up every week. Let's put something up there and count who has what right, first, and wrong. Let's do it. Let's do a scorecard. And they did something in USA Today about that. And then that was the year that I had the Spygate video. And I had the Joey Porter, Levi Jones video in a Vegas and a beatdown.
Oh, yeah.
And I had Balco. And that was the year of all years you could have. So I'm like, hey, shit, let's go. Let's sign me up. So I started then saying what they got wrong and what I got right and with it. And Mort's like, Jay, I said, Mort, it has nothing to do with you. You know, I love you. It's all your bosses there and all the guys run it. But then I realized, shit, people are starting to like this. Okay, back then it kind of pissed me off. And I forget what you know what it was, man? They did a thing when I did the Favre Lionsgate, when he called the Lions and gave him all the secrets on the Packers because he was all bitter.
Yeah.
And Favre came out and friggin', denied it and then didn't deny it. And obviously it was true. And then the story became more about who my source was and all this shit because everybody kisses Brett's ass. And ESPN put out a memo in their office like, do not report, reporter not credible. And somebody put it out.
Oh, wow.
That part got me to flip my lid.
Yeah.
And so then I went out, and that's when I went on this whole thing. And actually when this thing went down, here's another little diggy for you. When I went down, I was in Vegas with the captain of the MIT card counting team from bringing down the house. He taught me how to count cards. So I went there with him, this guy CB Dalloway, he fights in the UFC, who's one of my teammates, this other girl, and all this shit was going down when I was getting in a fight with him. And I took a phone call and stepped away from our table, and it was the commissioner, Roger Goodell.
Oh, wow.
Called me to be like, what the fuck is going on with you and Favre, pretty much, and ESPN, because I was going off. And as I walked away from the table, the guy we were with, his name is Mike Aponte. Mike is the captain of the MIT card counting team. He is the man. It's unbelievable. And he took us to a casino, and he dressed like, he looked like a college kid. He put like a hat and sunglasses on and khakis, like you couldn't see. And I took the phone call from Roger. I stepped away, and as I come back, I hear, gentlemen, your day here has ended. Mike, thank you for coming here with your friends. Let's go. And I look, and there is 50 security guards lined up to take us out. And my idiot friend CB Dalloway is going, oh, I hope you get backroomed. I'm like, I hope you get backroomed. Shit. You kidding me here? And I'm sitting there trying to get, I'm fighting with Favre and them. He wants to get backroomed because he's an idiot. We got some girl there she's just caught in the carnage. And then they led us from one security guard to the second, and then those two to a third, and those three to a fourth, all the way out the friggin' door. It was badass.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just, it was, you're talking about the 10 personalities that's going on all at once kind of collide together.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but I don't, I'm sorry, I don't have ADD, I got LMNOP, I'm beyond.
Great.
But I don't give a shit, but if people like the fight. But
well, I remember in 07, the first time, I mean, I kind of know, that guy, he's broken a couple, but the first time I really remember you was when you went at Manning a little bit because he insulted Strahan, your buddy.
Yeah, at the Pro Bowl. I tried to fight him at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm a Brady guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so
and
you're
I
happy.
love that anyone was feuding with Manning. So I was like, I'm in on Jay Glazer. This is great.
Wasn't even that I was feuding. I'm a loyalty guy. Love me or hate me.
Yeah.
The way I go about life is, if you're my guy, you're my friend, I like you, I will treat you as if I'm hoping to be your pallbearer.
Yeah.
It's the biggest respect I can give you, right? I will literally, loyalty is everything to me. I will treat you like I will one day be your pallbearer. If 10% of the people in my life treat me back the same way, I got a pretty damn good mafia, right? Strahan's one of those guys. So if you can talk shit about him when he's going through his divorce, shit, you're up. Let's go.
So you're at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Manning says something you don't like.
Well, let's back it up. We were trying to break John Lynch's Mai Tai record at the pool.
Oh,
John Lynch.
So there were drinks.
34 Mai Tais.
Shut up.
Legendary. John Lynch, right? The whitest dude on the planet. Whereas Brooks Brothers
that's not true.
has like
that can't be true.
We can call him right now.
34
There
Mai
were
Tais?
17 doubles. Okay, 17 doubles. 34 Mai Tais. John Lynch, we call him 47 Red, because you have John Lynch, who's the real whitest dude on the planet, and whereas Brooks Brothers has like 19 white kids. And then there's 47 Red, where you get a couple drinks in him, or you put him on the field, and he's knocking you the fuck out. You're going to fear for your personal safety. And he's the best, too, because when you get drinks in him, all of a sudden he gets very patriotic from like the 70s, and he will get up no matter where you are. You could be at a black tie event. He will start singing God Bless America. And if you don't sing along with him, and he's going to kill me for saying this, if you don't sing along with him, he will start calling you out and start calling you like a commie. Commie. What is this, friggin' All in the Family? Like, who uses those words? Are you shitting me? And he, God bless America. And if you don't do it, man, he will start wearing you out. So
34 Mai Tais.
Yes, he's a very impressive human being. He's a very accomplished person.
So you're having Mai Tais at the bar in John Lynch's honor?
We wake up early the next morning, me, Steve Hutchinson, Rondé and Tiki Barber, and Lynch, to break Lynch's Mai Tai record. And Tiki, we got there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
With 5 guys to drink a combined 34?
No. Each one, we're going to see if we can go. We're about, it started at 9 a.m. Tiki pussed out at about 12. At 5,
Giants
me and
fans love that
Hutch,
one.
I was married at the time.
Yeah.
For a whopping 10 months.
Wow.
If you had 10 months in the divorce pool, you won.
Wasn't Strahan's was short too, right? The first
No,
one?
his was just ugly.
Oh, okay.
Then we got our wives at the time, me and Hutch, they made us leave at 5. Well, Rondé stays, and he's going for the record.
Oh, no.
He's going for it. So he goes from 9 a.m. all the way till it's about 1 o'clock in the morning until he crapped out. And
So that's like 2 an hour for...
he had 15 of them. He crapped out 50, so 30. So we're little Rondé Barber. He's impressive.
Amazing.
Very impressive. Thank you. And
So when do you run into Manning?
well, so later on in the night, I was up there with me, Sean Payton, Eddie George, Lorenzo Neal. I think
That's Sean Payton, our first coach in this story.
Yeah. So he's right there for it also. And I'm actually waiting for Chuck Liddell to come. Okay, because Chuck is just hanging with me. And
You could throw any name in this point and I would believe it. And then we're waiting for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right. So
And Sugar Ray Robertson.
Chuck and I do everything together for years, right? And he's coming out just to, why not? Back then, people didn't really know who he was. So he's coming out just to hang and whatever. And I said something to Peyton. Peyton had been like, we had been really close at one point, and then all of a sudden he just kind of turned on me and turned on, I think, a lot of us. And I have no idea why. And he kept throwing these jabs at me and barbs at me and jabs at me. We were so good, he would play jokes on me. One time Zach Thomas and him were hanging out, and he's like, hey, Peyton wants you to call him on his new number right now. And Peyton gives him the number. I'm like, why? He goes, he just needs to talk to you. And I go and call the number, and it's Bill Polian's cell. So he just set my ass up. Like, he's great, right? So we're in there, and
Do you think Peyton turned on you because you were close to
No.
Strahan and Strahan and Eli had a whole thing?
That's what it ended up being because
Yes.
early,
sniffed
I
it
found
out.
out.
Yeah.
I didn't know. What
Yeah.
his deal was. And he was kind of ragging on me. I'm like, dude, I love Peyton. I really do. He is friggin' hilarious.
Okay.
He plays more jokes on people in this league than everybody but me. And he is just, he's really in tune with his immaturity, which you love. So all of a sudden we're sitting there, and I'd said something like, hey, we're drinking whatever we're drinking. He was like, I'll have a Bud Light. And I said something else. He said, I'll have a Bud Light. And I said it again. He said, I'll have a Bud Light. Am I stuttering? Get me a Bud Light. And I was kind of like, what did he just say? And that would have been okay if not for Eddie George and Lorenzo Neal going, ooh. So I kind of jumped his shit a little bit, and
So now the testosterone's going a little bit.
now testosterone's going, and Sean Payton and Lynch and those guys kind of pulled me away from him. And then later on, and then Chuck calls, and I said, hey, dude, I think I'm about to beat the hell out of Peyton Manning. And he's like, wait for me, don't do anything. I said, I can't promise you anything. So and Peyton's recollection of the story is totally different than mine.
Okay.
As far as like, he said Chuck ends up throwing kicks or some shit out, but she didn't. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Peyton goes, hey, Jay, what, did Strahan come crying to you like every day this year to do a story? And I was like, what did you just say? Did he come crying to you every day to do a story this year with you? And I'm like, hey, man, why don't you leave Michael Strahan out of this? And he said something else. I said, how about you never repeat Michael Strahan's name out of your mouth again. Because I thought he was talking about his divorce.
Yeah.
And he said, what? And I said, you know what? And again, I'm sorry for my language here. I said, you know what? Fuck you, Peyton, you little bitch. And he went, what? Fuck you, Glazer. And I was like, fuck you. We kind of did that back and forth. And then...
Are you working for Fox at this point?
Yeah. And then...
This is great.
I take a step at him, and then he had a tight end or something that stepped in for him. So it was like 2-on-1. And then my friend, though, he stepped in for me, and my friend's Chuck Liddell. So he came flying in there, and because he saw the tight end or whoever was step in for Peyton, and Peyton, Chuck's like, we got a problem over here, we got a problem over here. And Chuck's kind of eyes, you know, he clicked over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, Chuck, get back. And the tight end, like, zoop, stepped away. So now it's just me, Peyton, and Chuck. And I'm like, Chuck, go away, I got this. He's like, no, don't fight him now, fight him tomorrow. I'm like, no, I got him now. And now the crazy thing is, my wife at the time and Peyton's wife, they're both sitting right there, and they're both looking at us like, these two are just the biggest morons in the world, which we were. We were just being drunken
You're
idiots.
like freshmen in college.
And we really were. It's so stupid. But at the end of it, I basically let him know that it was not okay to do. In no uncertain terms, I've cursed enough. I used my F factor here in this on your podcast. So basically told him, dude, I don't ever disrespect you. Don't ever do it to me. And just because you play football and I don't, does not mean you can whip my ass. So let's try to treat each other in a respectable manner. And then later on, I went back and I was like, and I was obviously a lot more vocal about that. And I walked over him later, and he was like, I said, dude, what was that? He's like, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I just said, Peyton, look, man, we're still, doesn't matter what we do in our careers. We're men. We're grown men, right? So just treat everybody the same as if you're behind 7-Eleven alone. There's nobody else around. And we've been good ever since. We've been great ever since.
You know who's never done that to you?
Huh?
You know who's never done anything like that to you? Tom Brady. I bet he's never.
No, Tom's
like
great.
That. Yeah,
Tom's respectful.
Tom Brady's the best.
Tom's respectful.
See?
And you know what?
You just proved my point yet again.
And Peyton and I have been great at, sometimes you guys kind of fight it out and you get closer, you know? But the thing with me is, again, I'm a loyalty guy. He can say whatever he wants to me, and he was. It wasn't until he said something about Stray, and that's my guy. I will fight you in 2 seconds for one of my guys.
Hey, if there's one certainty in life, it's this. You can never find enough workout clothes or enough clothes to play hoops. I never really satisfied that fully. Tate, what do you wear when you play ball?
Shorts and a shirt.
Yeah, see, casual, right? My issue is playing in T-shirts that had dumb logos on them, especially when I was playing at USC in my 40s, and I'm wearing like these giant logos for companies and stuff. Thank God there's a place for quality logoless activewear that's 30 to 40% less expensive than the big brands. Thank God for athletescollective.com. Maybe you're like me. I hate flimsy T-shirts that lose their shape after a few washes. And I hate T-shirts that can't hold my sweat. I hate when my sweat's stuck on my body when I'm playing sports. I like pre-shrunk T-shirts that don't make me feel like I'm wearing a blouse. Tate, they sent us some stuff. Tate's nodding. It's great. You love it. We love all free stuff, but this was especially useful. Here's what you have to do, America. Go to athletescollective.com and our promo code BS. You'll receive 15% off your first order. All orders include free shipping and returns to the U.S. or Canada. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Athletescollective.com, promo code BS. And since we're here, I'm guessing you're in a March Madness pool that you probably already got knocked out of because Yale beat Baylor yesterday. And I'm guessing you're not just forking over the entry fee for the hell of it, right? You're investing. Well, investing in the safety of your home is no different. That's why I want to talk to you about home security. Researchers from leading universities like Rutgers and UNC Charlotte have proven security systems deter burglars. We're talking a deterrence rate of almost 90%. So if you're trying to find a system that's right for your home, I have a suggestion. Simply Safe Home Security. You've heard us talk about them on this podcast dozens of times. It's got to be dozens of times now. Simply Safe not only protects your home, it saves you hundreds of dollars, no hidden fees, no complicated installations, and since there's no middleman, the savings go straight to your pockets. 24/7 professional protection for just $14.99 a month. You can start or cancel service anytime. Go to simplysafebill.com. Save 10%. Once again, simplysafebill.com. Back to the one and only Jay Glazer. So what's your Sunday like from 6 a.m. West Coast time
it goes
all the way through?
Saturday and Sunday merged together. So Saturday.
When's the flood of information coming in? So that whole weekend?
Saturdays I don't sleep. Usually.
People know you have the show coming. They're feeding you stuff. You
And
have
I'm
to
calling
discern.
up, but it's not that. I call every team. I got players, coaches, GMs, and you don't call like, oh my gosh, I need a scoop. Some you do, but for the most part, it's where the job is exhausting is you have to outwork the world, and you've got to call and call and call, and you don't want to use people, so you talk about life and you tell the same story 400 times. You network. I'm a relationship broker. I'm an information broker. That's what you do, and we're just talking shit all the time, and you're hoping that stuff can come out of it and not come out of it, and you're hoping that, man, by the time I get on tomorrow, it's not out there. And now it's harder because back when I did it again, it was me and Mort, and it was it.
Isn't it easier now with texting and
way
just
harder?
like,
No, way
it's
harder. Because it was me versus Mort. It was it.
Yeah.
Right. So I
now
could
it's
save
you versus
stuff for
10
2
people.
weeks.
Yeah.
Now there's 40 people, and there's 40 people who don't care if they get their stuff right or wrong. I care that my stuff is right. That is it. I'd rather have 0 scoops and make sure everything I say is right than have a million scoops and have a 90% accuracy rate.
What was your biggest wrong scoop that you can remember where you're just like, God, I blew that one?
I really
You don't have one?
No, you may think things wrong. Like 2 years ago when I said Harbaugh's out in week 1, everybody killed me. And they said, no, he's not. And there's information I knew, which is why I knew he was going to be fired or no matter what, even if they won the Lombardi. I said that week 1 before Dion said or anybody. I said, no matter what, Jim Harbaugh will be out as head coach of the 49ers. And then I got blamed from fans like I did it. Right. It ain't nothing to do with me. I'm not the one that wore out the players there. I'm not the one that wore out their trust. It had nothing to do with me. And I'm not the one that wore people out.
It's funny they go away when it actually happens, though.
Interpersonal
Nobody
problems?
says anything.
It's just, I got killed when they fired. Or thanks, Glazer, you got your wish. Not my wish.
Yeah.
I think the guy's a hell of a coach, but I think he had a short shelf life. Him and guys like Bill Parcells, they're smart. 3-4 years, they go on to the next thing because they know all their little games end.
All right, so you're watching the game. Let's say you're watching.
So you know what? This year I had a faux pas.
A faux pas.
Yes,
I like
I had a
that.
faux
Nice
pas
phrase.
Because I said Chuck Pagano will be out. And then in the 11th and a half hour, things changed.
You were right, though.
Yeah, things changed.
Just Irsay is
changed.
A maniac. He
exactly.
Just changed, he literally
Not
changed
only
his
that,
mind.
they were going to get rid of the guy the year before. If he didn't beat the Broncos in that playoff game, they're going to get rid of him the year before. And then in the offseason, they gave him a 1-year extension offer as the lowest paid head coach in the league. So that's where this information was coming from. Plus, when you go there at camp, it's easy. The GM is just all over him. Chuck is like, I can't believe they're doing this shit. Every player in there is like, dude, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you just knew. And then as the season went on, you heard more and more. So when the season ended, and still it's like, and he knew he was gone. We were, you're always trying to help your friends out behind the scenes and see what could be available and what's not, where you can help guys out. And I try and somewhat be like a temp agency if you can, right? If you will. And it was a foregone conclusion. And then all of a sudden Irsay said, because the players were like, we want him.
This is ridiculous. What are you doing?
And they made him sit down and hash it out and gave him an extension like they should have, but I ended up being wrong. And that's the only time I can remember. And I'm not being cocky about it. I'm so friggin' conservative with what I put out.
Yeah.
I need 3 sources. It's got to come from the horse's mouth. I don't know other things that I've gotten wrong. New England, you guys killed me for a while because, the Deflategate thing, the thing that I jumped in on is at the Super Bowl, I said they got on video a person of interest who they want to question, who was the ball boy, or not the locker room
The guy
attendant.
who went to pee.
The locker room attendant, right? So that was obviously a big part of the freaking story. If this is who they zeroed in on, they have him on video, this is who it is. That was my part, right?
Yeah.
And everybody started looking at me like I'm saying they did it or not. No, I'm not saying you did it. And you know what? Quite frankly, even if you did it, okay? It doesn't have to be a friggin' gate. Hey, Tom, Bill, we're hearing this. Knock it off. Click. That's it. Okay?
That was a mistake, right?
That's it.
They set up a sting.
Oh, my God. But you just don't need... You don't need
Wait,
to
we can't
have
talk
a
about
million
this.
gates.
Everyone who listens to me will be like, no, don't drag Simmons down
No,
the
come on, let's
Deflategate
go.
Road. Here,
No, my
hold
point
on.
is,
No, I know what you're
it
saying.
doesn't have to be a freaking gate. You really needed a congressional hearing. You give Ted Wells $3 million.
No.
You shit me? You call him up. Listen, are you doing this? No. You saying no? We think you are. Knock it the fuck off. Next time you don't knock it off, we're going to do this. That's it. That is it. Nothing else.
So you're watching, let's say you're watching Giants-Panthers, and Odell Beckham and Josh Norman are getting super personal.
Yeah.
And you could just see it's escalating. This is not a common...
Right.
This is not a common sort of we're
Fight.
just going at
Right.
it. This is like there's a real something going on. So what's your process to try to find out what the fuck's going on with these guys? What do you
Call
do?
Odell.
So you go
And then I
right
call
to
the
the
coach
people.
and players. Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, what happened? What did he say?
We train Odell. And
Yeah.
I actually got on him about it because one of the things we actually teach these guys in there is they see us go at it. Like you watch me and Randy Couture, dude. We're horrible human beings to each other.
Yeah.
Terrible. I love him though. He loves me. We love each other. Like me and Chuck can be awful to each other, but we don't lose our shit on each other. That's part of the fight game. If you lose your mind in there, you're gonna lose your focus, and that's not good. So we try and teach these guys to think like a fighter. Try and teach them, don't get frustrated. Don't sit there, you fumble, don't shut it down because you fumbled. If I screw up and somebody hits me in the face, I can't be like, oh man, crap, and shut it down for 2 rounds, right? You got to recover fast. So he and I talked about it right after that. I mean, you can't do this. Okay, the entire
The guy told him.
the Diaz, and I told him, I said, the Diaz brothers, their whole thing is to get you to lose your focus and lose your mind on them. That's all they're trying to do. I said, and you fell into that rut.
So you just go right away. How long do you wait till after the game?
I don't.
So Giants game ends. When do you hit up Beckham?
I hit up guys that right after.
Like as they're walking off the field?
No, I'm not there.
They're doing an interview?
I'm not there. Yeah, that's right. They got the shoe phone.
Does the network put pressure on you? Like, Jay,
No.
Find this out in 10 minutes?
No, thank God. And early on, look, where Fox really was great is, and this really happened with the Favre stuff, okay? When the Favre and the lockout.
Which Favre
I know.
stuff? There's lots of Favre
The
stuff.
Favre stuff where
Favre had a rough
when he-
decade.
When he was going, he's going to get traded.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the lockout. I told Fox, I am not going to report on anything about the lockout except when it's over. I'm not reporting on a boxing match. We report on every feint and jab thrown. And I like my life too much. So while all these other guys are going to sit here on the courthouse steps and get used by both sides, I'm going to be in Cabo and Vegas. But when it's over, I'll let you know. And I thank God I've built up that equity there where I could do that. And at 3:52 in the morning, I went and broke it. And because both sides, turns out, they appreciated that I did not jump in and wasn't used by the other side. And I made sure that they knew I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be used. But I'm not going to let them use me either. So just if you guys can show me the respect back, all I care about is when it's over. I'm not going to wear you out. And if you guys need help to try and end it, I'm there for you. And they did. 3:52 in the morning. Bam.
Wow.
How cool is that? And the same day, I went to court 6 hours later and adopted my son.
Oh.
Bam. How about that?
That's awesome.
He was 32 at the time. No, he's, but same day. How's that for a day? How's that for a friggin' day, huh? Very
How
cool.
often do you talk to Goodell?
A lot.
A lot.
Mm-hmm. I actually mess with him a lot. I really do.
I don't think he likes me. Well, whatever.
You know what?
Whatever.
But here's my thing. Here's what I told him too. I said, the issue, Roger's actually, dude, people hate him. He's not. Dude, I'm telling you, if he was away from this shit, honestly, you'd love him. But the problem
don't
is,
think I'd like him.
I think you would, but I'll tell you
I
why.
really- he's done-
I'm
there's
gonna
been
tell
a
you
lot
why.
of stuff
I know
that's
there has
happened.
been, but here's why.
He tried to railroad my quarterback.
I hear you, right? Well, the whole league office did. His issue is he sounds like the White House press secretary when he talks. That's not him. He is a regular dude half the time. Every draft year,
It's something we're very focused
It's
on,
horrible.
and it's we're just trying to
Here you
keep
go.
our focus. And it's
Every
like, wait,
year-
you're not talking intelligently.
every year at the draft, he and I go drinking.
Everybody
drinking.
says he's a great guy.
Drinking,
I can't believe
okay?
it.
And I sit there with him last year, and I said, hey, dude, you sound like the White House press secretary instead of the degenerate that I know you are, which I love about him, and you are and I am. Like, he does have that dude factor, but he doesn't let anybody friggin' see it. And they have voice coaches and speech coach. You really need a friggin' speech coach and a voice coach? Are you shitting me? The difference is, look at Steve Bisciotti with the whole Ray Rice thing. Once Bisciotti went out there and just said, this is what happened. This is where he screwed up. This is where we screwed up. No one's hiding anything from you. We're like, okay, we're good. Roger doesn't do that. So when he had somebody else's words and he sounds like the White House press secretary, it's easy to hate. And I said, Roger, well, the issue here is more people want you out of the league than some friggin' jagoff who knocked his wife out in an elevator and then spit at her and stepped over her. Something's wrong.
Right.
And he's like, you're right. Like, but that's our relationship. I don't care who you are. I talk to you the same. Whether you're Roger or you or my grandmother or, it doesn't
Just
matter.
not Tom Brady. Don't
Just-
talk to him.
And
like that.
Tom, absolutely.
No, don't talk. Treat Tom with respect.
Yeah.
He's a 4-time champion.
That is respect. And it drives me crazy that
So you feel
It's
like
hard. It's a White
you feel
House
like
press secretary.
the real Goodell is not being represented in a public fashion that
He
even
doesn't do
remotely
that.
resembles the
He
private
doesn't do
condom.
it. He doesn't do it. It's himself. He doesn't do it. But if you talk to other people who have had this kind of a similar thing with him, they will tell you too. You know what, guys? Actually, I'm telling you, dude, he's more of a regular dude than you know. They just don't let him. Now, I don't understand why he does a lot of the decisions. Like, he shouldn't be the one who punishes everybody and part of it. He shouldn't. Right? Take yourself out of that. That's why you're so hated.
Because you
And
work for
there's
the
no
owners
consistency.
too. You can't. It's too hard.
Right.
It's
And
got
there's
to
no
be an independent
consistency.
party.
And then you have to kind of show, that I got to show that I'm not subjective to this team, but it's just a bad slope to be in. I'm telling you, look what the NFL's done financially. They're a juggernaut, man.
You don't think that happens with anybody though?
I think he's done a great job as far as
It's
the
the
financial part of
It's
it.
the most powerful league in the world.
But I think all that other crap that they've done has actually helped them. I think it's going to sound crazy, but the Deflate Gates and the Ray Rice and the
No, I'm with you.
It's become the greatest reality show soap opera there is. So every time they do something, even if they screw it up, more people, every news station leads with it, right?
I wrote this as a column. I think it was the opening week of Ray Rice, when the Ray Rice season. And I was saying, the NFL is now a 12-month league because they've figured out now how to make the soap opera in the offseason.
No
they always
doubt.
find one or two things. Everybody goes ape shit, and they get all this mileage out of it. Nobody's even playing a game.
Isn't that
It
great?
feels like
It's
the NFL
unbelievable.
never goes away.
And, it's fun when we had the Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson thing, and everybody's asking me my opinion. I'm like, hey man, I didn't go to school for this. I don't cover crimes and I'm not a psychologist. I am someone who goes to a lot of psychologists,
Yeah.
not the other way around. And you're asking me to be your social compass. Absolutely not. I'm here to talk about football. That's it. Okay. You want to know about what my opinion is of somebody as a player? Hey, I'm in. But I can't talk to you about the difference between what Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice did. And same thing, I'd call Rick Spielman. I go, Rick. And I told John Harbaugh this too. I'm like, guys, you're friggin' football coaches. You're meatheads. You're morons. And I say that with love. You're not this ultra psychologist who went to Harvard and talks about stuff like this. Don't put yourself in that position. It's not what you went to school for. But we get put in that position because how popular all these stories are.
What do you think Goodell's biggest mistake was last 10 years?
I think all that making, without a doubt, just being part of all the punishments.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, his bosses are the owners, but then he's turning around saying, I'm going to take your star player away for 4 weeks or 10 weeks, and you're still going to, but these guys who are paying your salary. I think it's a bad position to be in.
When did you realize? I can't wait for your answer on this one. When did you know Cranky was taking the Rams to LA?
When I said it 2 seasons ago.
That's what everybody seems to think.
But here's
when he bought the land, it was done.
But here's my thing.
So why'd they go through the whole charade of pretending he wasn't going to put the Rams there?
Oh, you had to. But
the charade that it even goes as far as bringing Bob Iger in and pretending he's in charge of the Carson
That was
thing?
the other two. That was the other two teams. They had every right to also. Here was my only issue with it. Again, I try to be in a world of making sure everything's dead on, of accuracy. It's the worst reported story in the history of sports.
I agree.
For 20-something years, every single story has been wrong. Everyone, right? There has not been a correct story at all in 20-something years. So every time somebody asks me for it, I'm going, hey, I'll read about when it happens because everything's been wrong. I did come out the year before and I talked about Kroenke and then about the Rams. But then I said there's another surprise team that's starting to get a lot of really move up the ranks, and that was the Chargers. But there's so many things that go into the politics and big business, and I've gotten pretty involved since. And I understand my limitations as a man. I'm not smart enough I went to Pace College in downtown Manhattan, and I majored in mass media. I'm not smart enough to understand the politics of it, the legalities of it, the financials of it, and even if you have an MBA from Harvard and you try to explain it to me, my ADD would have me phase
what
out
I do
in like 3
understand?
seconds.
When somebody buys that much land and they know that if this all works out, they're going to have a giant NFL franchise, that it's the number 2 franchise in the league, in the world's biggest sport, that's a good thing. Once he bought that land, I was like, I just don't see how this doesn't happen. Then he starts promising them we'll make Super Bowls
Right.
and we'll put the combine here and the Pro Bowl and you can put the NFL Network. I'll build some offices for you. It's done. Of course they're all voting for that. And then the owners, they get to go to the Super Bowl in LA every 3-4 years. They love it here. Why wouldn't they vote for that?
Why would you not? I had said on our Pearl Harbor show we did this year, we went out to Pearl Harbor.
That was great. I actually saw that show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I had said that Kroenke, to change things up, for the first time now he has offered to have a full equity partner in that place when it was originally just, I was going to lease it. Right now, they basically came to him and said, you got to make
Give
it
the Chargers something.
Yes.
Well, the Chargers
exactly.
were the team that blew it.
They blew
was
it
sitting there for 10 years.
And it's like you have this guy who's already done all the legwork, spent all the money, and you're going to be full equity partner with that guy who knows how to make money? Absolutely.
Come on.
And look, I'm not saying that, because you know what's going to happen. All the Charger fans are going to be pissed off at us for saying this. But business-wise, they need to do it. The problem with the Chargers and the Raiders moving together, you can't have two cash-poor teams going to L.A. L.A. is not a place where if you build it, they will come. Absolutely not. There's too much other stuff going on here. You really got to put a great product out there to make it huge. You got to go all out. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like so he's going to spend $3 million by the time this is over. But you know what? That's a good investment. $3 billion. Sorry.
Kroenke too. People go, well, he's not going to spend any money here. He has a lot of money. He better spend money. As a businessman, he's going to know it's the only way he's going to make it. So you couldn't take the Chargers and Raiders, who don't have the same influx of cash, and put them together. You needed one team with who's on the upper echelon of this league when it comes to finances, and then you could have somebody else with them. You can't have two franchises that were not in the upper echelon of cash.
I actually thought it should have been a bigger story, because you're talking now about, I would say out of any sport, once the stadium gets built and once the team is in and all that stuff.
But it's too far in the future.
Well, I'm saying 3 years from now, that is one of the 6 most valuable franchises in any sport.
It will be a big story then, but right now people are like,
don't see
3
it
years
yet.
from now. Yeah,
But
you're
like,
right.
the
Rams being here should be a bigger story, but there was so much
so much other shit
there's
going
so much
on.
Legalities and mumbo jumbo. I'm like, hey, shit, just let me know when they're playing.
Well, the other part and this is probably stuff that interests you and me, and I'm not sure how many other people, but it did seem like it was a shift. It was an owner shift. ESPN wrote a decent piece about it, about all the machinations of what happened and Jones, and all of a sudden you have these new wave, new thinker owners. And the old school owners like Jerry Richardson, who's like the warden in Shawshank. Everyone seems to be afraid of him. And he just basically was like, no, Jerry's going to get this Carson thing done. And it's like, no, actually, he's not. Yeah. It's a new world order now.
Jerry was with Kroenke. They were all with Kroenke.
All those guys who was.
All those guys who were.
You think Jerry Richardson was with them all along?
No, Jerry Jones.
Oh, no, I meant Jerry Richardson.
No, all the big business guys were like, we're going with the big business guy.
Of course.
Absolutely.
How do you not see it? It's great for you. Now you're going to have potentially 2 football teams in LA. Mm-hmm. You're going to have football games.
Why is it great for me? It's great for you too. You live here now too.
I know, but I'm not training football players. I'm not developing relationships and sources.
Well, actually, you know what? The guys we have, they fly out. We house them. We have housing. We have meal plans. They have a car option. They're like, we do the whole. We have our doctors, the head surgery for Cedar-Sinai.
I still think you win. I still think you're a winner.
I do too.
If I do winners and losers, you're a winner. All right, we have to go, but let's talk about Mike Francesa's dick first.
Yes.
So you interned for him, or you were? What was your
job?
WFAN?
I like how you just said it just like that.
Well, I had to. I thought that was one of the great segues I've ever had. Let's talk about Mike Francesa's dick.
Talk about his cock. Why not?
So you joked about this on a radio thing, and it became like a 3-day internet story.
It was unbelievable.
But you weren't really joking, which is why it became a story. He's a healthy man.
No, I didn't really say it. I just thought it was funny. So, I was. Did
you know you were going to cause a 3-day internet riot?
No, because it's not the first time I've said it.
Okay.
And I always joke around. And then I text. By the way, so if people don't know, I was doing a show and back in I think it was 1990. I interned at WFAN.
That's amazing.
Correct. Back then, man, I was boxing. I was doing stand-up comedy in the city. I was bouncing for the friggin' Gambino crime family.
Oh, my God.
It was awful. I had to check for weapons, and you had to frisk people for weapons, and guys used to have razor blades in their belts, and they would tell you, all right, so put your thumb in here. And I said, how do you know if they have the razor blades? They said, well, if you slice your finger, you know. I'm like, can we not have another fail-safe thing? And then I took a gun off a cop, and both sides drew on each other. And that's, again, I realized I'm not even Italian. I'm Jewish. What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
I got the hell out. But I was doing all these jobs. But I interned at WFAN Radio right when Mike and the Mad Dog started becoming huge. And it was a great time to be alive down there. It was great.
Glorious times.
one of my jobs, my thing is, and for any person who tries to get in the business, they always say, oh, what do you do? Number one, I'm loyal as shit. Number two, I outwork the world, okay? And which both together will overcome any deficit I have in intelligence. And number three, I look to be different. I never say, oh, I want to be a face in the crowd. I can't catch up with what everybody else has done in this business. I've got to do it my way. And a lot of people are afraid to be different. Fuck that. Be different. Be a face. Do not be a face in the crowd. So at WFAN, when I was interning, I'm like, how could I separate myself from the other interns? So I would ask to do everything. You basically, as an intern, you went to the newsroom and you sat there and you were treated like, crap, which is great.
Go get food.
Absolutely, which is great. What you should do, move up the ladder. So I would say, hey, can I go to this boxing press conference? They're like, huh? Yeah, sure. And I would go to like a press conference. I said, can I work the draft? I know football really well. And I would ask them every day. And finally, they were like, yeah, it's okay. You can go. So I was there at the draft. It was in, I think it was either in the Marriott Marquis or Madison Square Garden. It was early days. Giants drafted Gerard Bunch with the 30th pick.
Yeah.
Right? A fullback.
Shaky pick.
From Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Who actually lives out here. He's a jiu-jitsu guy out here now, crazy enough. And at one point, Francesa points to me and goes, you, come on, let's go. I'm like, what? And let's go. And I'd take him to the bathroom because he had, 3 minutes in between breaks or whatever. And I'd take him to the bathroom just to make sure that he got back in time. So I told people that I looked at his schwanz and I was like, wow, it's really impressive, because why would I not say that about a guy? I'm not going to sit
boss,
there.
Yeah.
Did I really see his schwanz? No, people. I'm sorry, I didn't. I really didn't. I'm not a dick watcher.
Peaker.
However, I did text him the next day because it went crazy. And I texted him and I said, hey, dude, I'm expecting a very, quote, sizable donation to my charity, MVP and Touchdown Dreams.
This was recently.
Oh, yeah, this was a couple weeks ago. The day after.
Yeah.
So with the Super Bowl, I said, I expect a sizable donation to my charity. You can't buy marketing like this. I wish I had a friend that went on national radio and said I have a huge schwanz. Are you kidding me? Please, can you do it? If I show you right now, would you tell the world that I have a huge schwanz?
Jay, I saw it before. It was gigantic.
There you go. For all the ladies listening.
So he
he just writes back, you're crazy. And I said, yep, but a good friend. I expect a sizable donation. I said, Mike, you cannot buy marketing like this. And then he said, I heard you had a Super Bowl party last night here in town. And I'm like, what kind of segue is that? So he just tried to get off the subject. But, oh, dude, it was hilarious. And
I wish he had called him and be like, hey, Jay, I heard you were talking about my humongous dick. I heard you said it was a huge dick. It's
Sorry,
very,
people.
very big.
I'm not a DW. I don't stare at them. But I thought it was very funny. And then everybody kind of took it. I'm like, when people are writing about it, are they being serious? Like, do they think I'm serious? Do they not think I'm serious? You know what?
That's
Fuck
hilarious.
it. I like the guy.
How many Diet Cokes did you get him when you were interning? Like over or under 5,000?
No, I wasn't really allowed in the studio. It was. This was at the draft. No, you didn't walk in the studio. No.
Get that guy out of my studio.
Yeah, absolutely. And he and I were not good for a long time. And again, because I was
buddies.
But I moved up the ladder fast in this business where a lot of the old guys would just kill me and rag on me and rip on me. And he was with all of them. And for me, I'm like, shit, I don't care. You're not part of my team.
So any feuds going these days or no? Nothing.
How many good ones going?
Seems like you're pretty happy.
I'm pretty
with life
lovable
now.
these days.
Yeah, you really are.
I'm too worn out.
You're in a
from
good
these guys.
place.
Yes, I'm in a good place. I'm too lovable right now. I'm a lovable person.
Anything you want to plug?
Got my son's bar mitzvah coming up. Can we do that? April 2nd. Yes. Hey, in all seriousness,
that wasn't what I was thinking.
In all seriousness, Chuck Liddell and Heidi, and his wife Heidi had a wedding recently. The freaking people charged admission, and they had like a couple
admission to a wedding.
Yes, a couple like celebs, and they charged admission. They put for people to come, and they put like the pseudo celebs in like a roped off area. They freaking sold tickets to this wedding. Some rocker dude. I don't know. Yes, how awesome is that? I'm like, you got to be kidding! Like, oh, they sold tickets to the public for them to come to their wedding.
Well,
probably the nervous thing I ever heard.
That was the strangest end of the podcast plug I've ever heard.
I'll give you a plug.
I enjoyed it though.
Two things. Yeah. One, two charities. If you guys can help me out, go to vetsandplayers.org. Have a charity called MVP where I'm trying to take former combat veterans who are struggling and former NFL players who are struggling. I'm matching them up and I'm sending them on these empowerment retreats together to kind of walk the walk together and have a team
cool.
again. And then also Touchdown Dreams. As you know, I came in here today. Please go to my Instagram and check out. I want you guys to follow this kid, Logan Nabriga. He is my guy. I have a foundation called Touchdown Dreams. And today, Logan, he's 12 years old. Today was his final day. He just beat leukemia for the second time. In 8 years. It was final infusion. We had a little party for him earlier today, and then I'm bringing him back over to the gym. He doesn't know this, but at 4 o'clock, Gronk's going to go meet him. He's a big Boston guy. So he's going to go over there and meet him and do a bunch of stuff with him also. So that's, if you go to Touchdown Dreams, I think it's .org. Man, I've funded everything by myself, but I could use as much help as anybody could possibly give.
Can you watch out for Gronk? Just make sure he's okay.
He's okay.
We need him for...
Well, we have an IV bar in the gym, so he's good. We're IVing the hell out of him.
Just keep
Every
him
time
in
he goes out, we IV him.
Nice, good shape. He's taking some hits.
Have you met him in person? You've been with him?
I've never met him in person, but I know he's gigantic.
Dude, honestly, I don't know how anybody would ever cover him.
Well, that's why they all dive at his knees.
It's ridiculous.
How else are you going to tackle him?
He is a friggin' monster. And
he was open on the last play.
He was
open on the 2-point. I think Brady had been beat up so many times in that game, he just missed it. Or he got blocked there. Who knows?
He's doing a Nickelodeon show out here. Kid show.
Gronk. All right. Just tell him to stay focused.
He's focused.
We need a fifth title.
Him and Martellus. I like
President
it. Hey,
Tom Brady needs a fifth. All
this
right.
was
Jay
way
Glazer, this
too
is
long.
fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Am I coming back tomorrow?
No, but you'll be back. You've earned a repeat invite. Tate, did you enjoy
Friday?
it?
Can I come back Friday?
All
Monday?
right, the BS report.
Tuesday. Can I come back Tuesday? How about Wednesday?
We might have
what
to
are you guys
add
doing Wednesday?
We might have to add you to the whole Ringer podcast
I like
network.
it. I like it, brother.
I think
like
you
it.
need one. We'll be back next week on the BS podcast.
who loves
Enjoy
you,
the
brother?
weekend. Enjoy the tournament. Take care. All right, that was awesome. I'm winded. I feel like I could have dug a little bit further on Peyton Manning, but that's fine. We'll get him next time. Thanks to Athletes Collective. If you're tired of wearing big-name sportswear brands across your chest when you work out or play sports and paying full price for them, why not go for high-quality, affordable, and completely unbranded sportswear? No logos. Be an adult, for God's sakes. Go to athletescollective.com and enter promo code BS. You'll receive 15% off your first order, free shipping and returns on all orders to the U.S. or Canada. athletescollective.com. Thanks to Simply Safe, they'll give you 24/7 award-winning protection for just $14.99 a month with no contracts, no hidden fees, start or cancel service whenever it works for you. Studies show security systems deter burglars at a rate of 90%. For home security you can trust, go to simplysafebill.com and save 10%. Thank you to HBO Now. You don't need cable or satellite to watch HBO anymore. Download the free HBO Now app and start your free 1-month trial today. I would advise doing this because there's going to be something happening on HBO Now next month, and you're going to want HBO Now. Just trust me. I promise you. We may or may not be involved. Thanks to SeatGeek, the presenting sponsor of the BS podcast at Channel 33. We love you, SeatGeek. Thanks to The Ringer. Go to theringer.com to sign up for our new newsletter. We've already done 4. There's more coming. They're free. I don't know what you're waiting for. The Ringer. Go do it. Enjoy the weekend.
We about this bitch. Anytime y'all want to see me again, rewind this track right here, close your eyes, and picture me rough.